Okay, guys, this is Dave's LFC Chats, another episode. I've got an absolute legend with me today, a real legend. I've had a few legends on, but this is another one to add to the list. It is Peter M. Smith in the house. Actor, singer, footballer. He's done everything. He can do everything, this fella. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He should have his own bloody podcast. Thanks for coming on, mate. And a big Liverpool fan, by the way. And a huge Liverpool fan.
Massive. And you forgot to add an LFC day tripper as well whenever we get a chance with Gavin.
And an LFC day tripper with the boys, yeah. And a proud Drimna boy as well to add it in as well. How are you? All good?
100%. I cannot complain. If I did, nobody would listen. You know me.
That's true. I listen. But look, we're gonna talk about, obviously, you've had some life up to now. I mean, you're in a big production for Philip Lynott. Tin Lizzy, of course, if anybody, I'm sure everybody knows who he is, but it's more of like, is it like a rock production, a rock musical production? I don't know what you pronounce it.
Yeah, it's theatre. It's not quite We Will Rock You, but it's not quite The Plough and the Stars either. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of the two disciplines. Is obviously with Tin Lizzy being Tin Lizzy, the seminal Irish rock band. You have to go in the musical direction, which is a lot of fun. But obviously there's a story to be told in terms of, kind of promoting Philip Lynott and his legacy and what he was as, a great writer, great rock star, great poet. So there's a story to be told, about the art, but there's also music to be given to the masses, and people have spent a lot of money on the tickets, and we're lucky enough we've sold out most of the shows now in Dublin. We'll probably announce over the next few days a national tour, and things have gotten a little bit crazy, but it's been amazing. Some of the Thin Lizzy fans that have approached me, certainly from different parts of the world, have been really kind, really good, and really family oriented, which has been lovely, to be honest.
Yeah. No, brilliant. It's called Moonlight, I think, isn't it?
Moonlight, the Philip Lynott Enigma. The tickets are still on sale, certainly for the 2nd, 3rd, and 8th of April are sold out. But the 20th, 21st, and 22nd of June are still on sale. But
Vicar Street, isn't it?
Vicar Street, Dublin. And then, of course, we'll announce, I think the producers will announce kind of going all over the country. As I said, probably in and around May time as well. So yeah, it's going to be a busy summer.
So what would you expect? Look, if I'm thinking of going, actually, bring me partner along to.
You're only thinking of going. You better go. Get your act together.
I will be going. I'll do a review. I was going to say to you, what would you expect now? I'm walking in. What would you expect at this? What would I expect, you think?
I would expect, if I was a fan, of Irish rock music, and certainly a historian like you like to, your career with this is about telling stories about a great football club. I'd expect the suspension of disbelief. I'd expect to walk in and feel like I was walking into the National Stadium in 1977 or 1979. I would expect to feel that vibe if I was you. Certainly if I was going to pay 50 quid for the ticket, I'd want to feel the suspension of disbelief. I'd want to feel like I was walking around at those times. And I think that's what people can expect, to be transported to the feeling of those times. And hopefully we'll bring that, magic to people for an hour and a half. After all, that's what they're paying for.
Might even go international. Never mind national.
You never know. There's conversations. You never know. And as long as we'll go places where people can understand the Dublin accent, which is pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. But even if you go further back, I mean, you've been in a few Netflix shows. You've been in. You were in a boy band? Was that Pop Stars?
Well, to give you the rundown, I started off in musical theatre as a kid, kind of 17, 18. I started off in pantos, so I was the juvenile lead in the panto when I was a late teenager in the Olympia.
With Dustin.
That's right, and Adele and Twink. So great place to learn. You're learning from legends, funny people. I mean, Adele King is one of the best actors that you'll ever see on a stage. And I think she doesn't quite get that credit, but she deserves it. And then, working with all those Billy Barry kids, be they actors, be they dancers, be they singers, that really teaches you about standard. And it's funny, when the night I met you at Keith and Brian's thing, we were surrounded by Billy Barrys because, of course, Brian was a Billy Barry. That's why I know him so long. I know him 30 years nearly, 27 years. Yeah. And we'd go and see each other and whatever, when Brian was in Cartel, and then before I joined Fix, went over to the UK, did Pop Stars in Ireland. Actually, Brian was one of the ones that pushed me towards doing that, because Kerry, his girlfriend at the time, he later married.
Kerry Katona,
yeah, she was involved in the background, kind of prejudging it and stuff. So he was like, just go and have a bit of crack. So we were always all in each other's orbit, and that's what I love and miss about Dublin. We all know each other. There's no secrets. We're all connected. We're all trying to push each other. And I'm being honest with you, I have a production company now, and we're kind of associate producers on this show as well. We're making films. So I'm kind of bringing a lot of people that I knew from the Billy Barrys in and out of our orbit too. So just to try and bring that spirit alive, because I think music and theatre was hijacked for too many years by, I won't name them, but by the by the oligarchs who positioned themselves as fairy godfathers of Irish music, but they weren't. They're just money men. And who were trying to decide who was and who wasn't good enough. So my idea and our idea at 03 is to give people a fair crack at the whip. And you'll see that over the next couple of years with the films that we've made and that we are making, and now with the theatre that we're making with Philip Linus in association with Fat Dan. Bring back the real people to the stage who deserve to be there. Yeah,
no, fair play. I mean, Ireland's got a rich history with acting and singing, as we know. We're musical and acting nation, aren't we, really? But
pound for pound, we overperform. That's what we do. I don't think there's any country on earth, bar the Americans, and there's 400, 500 million of them. There's only 5.5 million of us. We overperform pound for pound. This is where the talent is, Dublin.
Yeah, it always has been, literally, like Oscar Wilde and all. You can go way back if you really want to, But look, you have a colourful life. I mean, all the way up, grown up in Drimna. I know you're very proud of Drimna.
Yep.
As a kid, growing up, Liverpool Football Club always the club for you? And when did you first fall in love, actually, with Liverpool?
Yeah, strangely enough, the first game I ever saw, I was 6 years of age, and it was at the Heysel Stadium. Now, I was watching it in Drimna in my house. I didn't understand what was going on, obviously. I just knew that I wanted the team in red to win. And they didn't, and I remember bawling my eyes out. And my man had to go and buy me a Mars bar just to calm me down. And then, of course, I just watched religiously. Got to know who the players were. So my first hero was John Barnes. John Barnes was my first hero. And
That's my hero as well, baby. JB.
In my view, bar the obvious, Gerrard and Kenny, King Kenny, certainly the best. And for me as a black kid growing up, I remember bananas being thrown on that pitch. At John Barnes. I remember being inspired by his courage, his dignity, and of course his God-given talent and ability, And it was the first pair. John Barnes was the first man that I'd ever seen that made me kind of puff out my chest and go, yeah, I am a black man, and I'm going to wear it well. You know what I mean? So
I don't know whether you've seen the tweet. There was a tweet the other day. They were talking about immigration in Ireland and stuff, and they had a picture of Paul McGrath and a picture of Phil Lynott by beside each other. Yeah. And I think the caption was two of the greatest Irishmen that ever lived.
Well, that was a response to another tweet.
Did you see it? You've probably seen it.
It was a response to another tweet that had proposed to other people. And I won't name them, to be honest with you. Too many friends in common. And I won't even give my opinion, to be honest with you, as being the greatest Irish sportsman and the greatest Irish musician of all time. I think Bono maybe, and of course somebody was like, you've obviously never heard of these two. And I love that tweet. If there was a love button on the platform formerly known as Twitter, I would have clicked love, but I definitely clicked like.
I knew you would have liked that. I did like it. I actually met Paul McGrath a few years ago in the Ivy House in Drumcondra with a few beers. Do you know what we ended up talking about? It wasn't about football. It was about Michael Jackson.
Oh, really? Really?
I was a big Michael Jackson fan as a kid in the
80s. You and I had this conversation the other night at Dusta's gig.
Michael Jackson.
I love Prince. I was always the other side. I like Prince because he plays 27 instruments.
Prince Jackson. And Jacko had a bit of a Barney going on. I think it was maybe for the media. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no comparison. I mean, Prince loves. They love each other. No, there's no comparison. Michael or Prince is just on a different level.
Prince was brilliant. I didn't know a huge amount. Of course I knew about him, but I watched the documentary about him.
Yeah.
The energy he had for such a small little fella. He just exploded, didn't he? He exploded when he went on stage. I actually went to 3 Michael Jackson concerts in Ireland.
Did you?
93 and 96. Yeah.
You were. I think you were telling me you were at the bad tour. Did you go down to Cork for the dangerous one?
Yeah, 88. That was unbelievable. That was when he's at his height. 88 was. I think that was where it was for Jacko. Jacko's hijacking. Prince and Jacko are hijacking this podcast, by the way.
I'll let them. They deserve it.
But back to the Reds. Look, about this time last year, Jurgen Norbert Klopp decided to leave. And I'm sure he decided months before, but he actually, publicly announced that he was leaving the club. Where were you when that happened? And what were you thinking?
I was in Malaga. On a bit of a trip away. I thought it was a wind-up. A friend of mine, Robbie O'Matney, texted me, another Dreamland man, said, listen, you're not going to believe it. I just thought he was winding me up. I just expect him to sign another contract. But immediately, as you know, Liverpool, unlike Manchester United, unlike other clubs, there's always a plan in the background. There's always a plan. I mean, and I know a lot of people are going on a bit of contract situation now, but those contracts are sorted one way or the other. One way or the other, between the three lads. And it was the same with Klopp. I'd say there was a list of 3 names. I don't know if Arne Slot was at the top of it, but I would imagine it was just one of 3. Whereas with Manchester United, there's such a shambles. It's who's next kind of thing. Whereas there's always. I don't worry about Liverpool and succession plans. I think after the Hicks and Gillette debacle a couple of decades ago, I think the club has decided no matter what happens, we will know on a Monday what we're doing on a Wednesday, and that's the way this club is run.
But see, this is the thing, and I'm sure you'd be on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Some of the crap that's on there about this club. We're top of the league. We're 6 points clear of the game in hand. We're top of the Champions League. We're already through. We don't even have to worry about PSV. And forget about that. We're in the semis against Spurs. We'll probably beat them and get into another final. And we've a handy one against Plymouth away in the FA Cup. We've only been beaten once by Forest away, and Forest are a decent side. I only got beaten 5-0 the other day, but they're in the top 4. I mean, okay, should we spend a bit more money? Should we bring in 1 or 2 players? Yes. Yes, probably. But we're well run. We're a well-run club. One of the few well-run clubs, top clubs in England. Do I want them to spend more? Yes, of course I do.
Why though? For me, Dave, this whole shiny new thing syndrome, I always remember years and years ago, Newcastle were running away with the league. They might have been 7 or 8 points clear, maybe more. And Kevin Keegan decided in his wisdom to bring in Faustino Asprilla. I don't know why. And I think it just unsettled everybody. And it was famously, they were caught and they were dragged into it and they lost the title to Manchester United. I don't believe in the shiny new thing syndrome. I'm more interested in looking at fellas like Harvey Elliott, maybe having a look at bringing
all these young lads.
Bringing some of the lads back through, giving them, like, for example, you mentioned PSV and when we have them, Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday.
Yeah, so I'd be more interested in giving, if Dan's is still at the club, he hasn't gone out on loan, let him have a start, because of all the centre forwards that we have on the bench, bar Chiesa, who I don't see as a centre forward, but the attacking players, give them a chance. If Tyler Morton was still at the club and he wasn't on loan, for example, I'd be more inclined to say, let's have a loan watch. Let's see how the lads are doing on loan. Can we bring them back in? Can we integrate them into the side? Yeah. You make signings at Christmas, and don't get me wrong, it does work, but it is quite disruptive. When we brought Luis Suarez and Andy Carroll on the same day, we'd no choice. I remember years ago. Now that we have choices, if it ain't broken, and as you say, we've been beaten once. I mean, listen, there's a load of Twitter handles, as you know, out there that make money from, like Corbally and all that, make money from, being malcontents. Ignore them. They're Egypts. Most of them are 19 years of age in their mother's basement. Real fellas know what it is to support Liverpool and to struggle. And now looking at the position that we're in, if it ain't broke, the only thing I would worry about is I hope Slot has had his conversation with Klopp to say, okay, this time last year, what quite didn't go right for you, that fellas just ran out of steam. So maybe that's a physical issue, and I'd imagine they've addressed that already. As I said, we're prepared, and this Slot team.
Well, the good one, Peter. The good one, Pete, is we haven't had a huge raft of injuries, and we're not as gung ho playing style wise. There's slight tweaks here and there. We're not as heavy metal. We're more soft rock. Like we're more Duran or actually Def Leppard. We're not AC/DC. You know what I mean? We're a bit softer on the eye. I'd actually call us Def Leppard. You know what I mean? Bit of rock going, but we're not,
Yeah, I think, bit of Fleetwood Mac there, lots of harmony, lots of good end products, pretty on the eye at various parts of the stage.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end, it's solid and, you know, unappreciated. You know, there's unappreciated players. Like, for me, Lindsey Buchanan, probably the best guitarist ever to stand on the stage. Nobody knows. But a lot of people don't know who he is. I'm looking at fellas like Ryan Gravenberch, who last year people were like, oh, yeah, whatever. He's a flopper at Bayern Munich. But I think he's probably the most effective midfielder in the league. I've never seen he just doesn't give the ball away. He's beautiful breaking the lines.
Silky, isn't he? He's silky.
Yeah, it reminds me of a very young Ruud Hullet, to be quite honest with you. That's high praise. Like, for me, there's a lot of fellas in there doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not worried. A lot of people are like, if Virgil gets an injury, I think we're more than a player now. We're a system that works. You know, I mean, looking at the young fella that comes in, Conor Bradley comes in at right back for us. Doesn't put a foot wrong. Just doesn't put a foot wrong. Comes in. The system works. Everybody knows their job. I just, like, for me, my only complaint earlier on in the season is putting teams away. We didn't beat Forest away. They beat us 1-0. But if you look at the stats from that game, if you watch the highlights, we missed chance after chance after chance. Our problem was finishing, as it has been for years. But we see that seems to be clicking in again. I'm not worried. I'm really not worried at all. For me,
no, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be worried if we didn't sign anybody. My point was the likes of the Twitter boys and the X boys, whatever you call them, go crazy if no one gets signed in January. I mean, and I'm trying to say, look where we are. I mean, look at Man United, look at Everton, where they are. Look where we are.
They know that.
Look where we are.
They know that. There's no attention in contentment. If you're going on, this is great, everything's wonderful. You know, you get 5 likes if you're lucky off your mates.
Yeah.
But these fellas, horribly red and all jumping up and down. This is a disgrace. This is that. I mean, it's juvenile stuff. I mean, I've got mates, the lads from the day trippers, like, for example, Andy Young. He's a great Twitter. He's great on Twitter. He's always top reds versus bottom reds. Yeah. I think he's up the top reds, 26, bottom reds.
I know Andy, yeah.
And he's a top guy.
Yes.
And Gav as well. Gav is the same. These are mature lads who understand football. You know, Philip Casey.
Andy always puts up the sirens as if something's going to happen.
Yeah. He's just winding lads up.
Breaking news.
winding lads up he is. Now the lads, you know, Shawnee Lawson, the lads know what they're talking about. And whenever I'm with them, whenever you talk, you keep plunking. Whenever you're talking to them, it's the same conversation. There's a great lad amongst them as well. It was with Stella Maris, a great coach as well.
Jared Breen.
Yeah, Gary Breen, really, really good guy. So it's no coincidence that it's lads, certain age profile, have played the game or have watched it for a long, long time, and are absolutely, like yourself, Dave, relaxed about Liverpool. You know, it's a great podcast.
Because we've seen it. I mean, I grew up in Liverpool in the 80s when we were the team. So did you. And we went through a few rough times, you know. In the 90s, we'd win the odd cup. We'd do this, we'd do that, but we were nowhere winning the league. We were close once or twice with Evans. We were close once or twice with Houllier. We were close with Benitez, actually. I remember that famous one was away. We were very close. But Klopp came along in October 2015, and I think the whole mentality of the club changed. Everything changed, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I remember those days. And Souness came in, and God love him, it's his biggest regret now. And he
pulled it apart too quickly.
Well, what we did,
Julian Dix.
Notably, what he did day one is he sold 3 or 4 players to Aston Villa, and Aston Villa went on a run of 2 or 3 years, nearly won the league.
Staunton and Houghton were sold way too
you know what I mean?
early.
Exactly, and Dean Saunders even, who was a good player for us.
Yeah.
So these players went on to have proper careers. All of a sudden, the momentum just went to Birmingham. And Aston Villa were the ones challenging Manchester United.
Yeah.
If you ask Graham Souness what his biggest regret was, he led the football club in accordance with his personality, not with his eyes. And I think, lads, the biggest lesson, I mean, at our age, we watched all that. Was like, what are you doing? You know, and what are you doing? You know, letting some of these lads go at their absolute peak. And then we signed, I think 3 or 4 years later, we signed Steve Staunton back. Like, you know,
I think that's another key. When you look at Arne Slot when he came in, he looked at the squad. Now, we did it right, didn't he? Because we knew such a big legend or icon like Klopp was leaving. People were even wondering who Arne Slot was and where was he, because he didn't say anything or do anything for weeks. You know, even in the summer, he came in quite late for the preseason, and he just let it all go away, drift away, came in quietly. Like you're coming into a 21st, like late with your beer in your hand, really late, you know, came in really late. And didn't change anything. I mean, we only brought in Chiesa, and that was a late one. And we knew that Chiesa could take weeks or months to get going because he wasn't playing for Juve. And we bought your man, I can't even pronounce his name, Dashbardilli, the goalkeeper. But we can't play him till next year. So he did it right. He looked at the squad and goes, there's not much needed here. Yeah. As you said, he started changing it. 4 or 5 players coming in. It just changes the dressing room. Changes everything.
I think you're right. And I think as well, what that does for the lads that are there, it makes them go, the chests come out and they're like, well, so a new fella's come in and he fancies me, so I must be as good as I hope. And the confidence from that, from not being replaced as well, gives you another 10% on top of that. Football is 90% in your head. I always think, listen, you have to have physicality, you have to have talent, you have to have ability, all that. But after that, you look at I remember years ago, Emil Heskey had all the tools in the box physically, but up there, he just didn't have it to be a top player.
Well, hold on. What about Darwin Núñez? What about now?
Yeah, I think it's mental.
What's your opinion on Darwin Núñez? Is it mental?
It's a mental thing. 100%. Listen, this is a fellow who run 100 meters in 11 and a half seconds. He's as strong as anything you've seen. Tell me something he's not good at physically. He's good at everything. It's there. It's mental. It's just a mental thing. Let him, keep coming off the bench. The only thing I'd worry about coming off the bench is you get a name for that. And I think he's a little bit
super sub.
Yeah, and listen.
David Fairclough, remember that in the 80s?
Yeah, but I mean, he's better than that. Even Jota. I mean, I look at Jota. That's a more of a physical problem with him. He's a obviously he reminds me a lot of Robbie.
Finisher. He's one of our best finishers. You know that?
Yeah, he's the best natural finisher we've had since Robbie Fowler, in my view.
Yeah.
Like Mo Salah.
Look, I'm going to ask you about Mo now in a minute, but we won't even go into the contract situation. I think, as you said, that'll sort itself out. Personally, I think Van Dijk, Salah sign. Trent could be a different story. He could go to Madrid in the summer. That'd be my take.
Let him go. If players don't want to be at this club, let them go. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
You can play all the cards you want. I love Liverpool. I'm from here. I'm from there. Play all that you want. But how many times have you watched fellas leave this club thinking,
Coutinho
the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
Even fellas that were raised through the club, Mike Malone, Stevie McManaman, you know what I mean? They think in the grass, but the ego always says to you, I mean, I wouldn't give a bucket of piss for what goes on at Real Madrid. Honestly, it's not a
two buckets.
That's a museum. That's a museum.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't want to be. I'm pretty sure if I was a top class player, I'd want to be remembered. Things that happen at Real Madrid, fellas go in, they do well, then 5 minutes later, because it's expected, that sometimes they're unceremoniously shown the door.
Yeah,
really doesn't matter who you are. I don't understand why anybody would want to be part of that.
Go back to the 90s. Do you remember Steve Bull, the striker for Wolves?
Of course I do. It was
do you remember the thing around him? A lot of teams will look at him, he's banging the bleeding goals in. They said, this is my hometown. Yeah. This is my home club, and I'm staying. Do you remember that, do you?
Yeah. If you talk to Robbie Keane about him, Robbie went to Wolves instead of going to Liverpool, Man United. He had a few chances, a few opportunities, but he went to Wolves. And what's the player that he learned off most was Stevie Bull. And listen, Robbie Keane is the best centre forward that ever played for this country. Ever.
Look at his goal record.
Probably ever will. But he learned, like Stevie Bull used to say, like, because I know Graham, Robbie's brother, very well, just don't be afraid to miss. You're going to. So don't be afraid, just and keep putting yourself in there. That's what Stevie Bull was. He was a machine, an absolute machine. And as you say, made his name, had his chances to go wherever, but he was on good money at Wolves. So why would he go anywhere? He's right. And
like as you say, the boys at Liverpool, the top players at Liverpool are multi-millionaires now. It's not like they're like celebrities and millionaires. It's not like years ago, even Stevie Bull wouldn't have been anywhere near the money the boys are on today. No way. Yeah. You know, they're probably on enough a week that he would have had a year.
Yeah, I'd understand if a fella turned around and said, I want to play for Barcelona, or I want to play for Inter Milan or AC Milan or Juventus, clubs with history, that appreciate players. But why would you go and play for a museum club? Real Madrid's a museum club. I don't care how many times they've won the European Cup. The first few years of their existence was under Franco, and the cup was stolen, for them on behalf of a dictator's regime. It's that simple. If Real Madrid fans don't like that, They'll just have to pick up a history book and read it because those are the facts. So I don't know why anybody would want to go. And I live in Spain. Don't know why anybody would want to go near Real Madrid. It's the remnant of a dictatorship, a cruel dictatorship that people said goodbye to in the late 1970s. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near it. No, thanks.
Yeah. No. But look, moving forward with Liverpool, we're in a great position. Top of the Champions League table, top of the Premier League, more importantly, 6 points clear of the game in hand. Arsenal, to me, are the only team I think that can challenge us, really. I think they're the only team that could catch us if there's anybody going to catch us. It's not over yet. You don't win it in January, but we're in a really good place foundationally. Players are there. Only Gomez and Jota are injured, and they seem to be injured all the time anyway. But even if we can get them back for the end of the season, just to bolster the squad, it would be great. But I mean, what a time to be. What a time to be a Red, P.
Yeah, it's just time. We just need to be ruthless. I mean, the one thing I give Arsenal is they've addressed something. A lot of people give them stick over the set piece FC Stoke. That's something, if you look back 4 years, they were getting stick in the opposite direction. People were saying they're a bit soft. They've players like Koscielny, they were a little bit light in the sneakers, weren't putting their elbows up and their heads in. They're a bit weak.
Yeah, they were a bit too kind. Weren't they? Too nice.
I don't like Saliba. I don't like Saliba. But in fairness, he's plenty of bottle. Do you know what I mean? I'll give them that. They've that. What I don't understand is sticking with your man Havertz. He couldn't hit a barn door, honestly, with a beach ball. He's rubbish. So and people are trying to say, it's his movement. He's like Teddy Sheringham. Are you serious? Are you serious? See,
Teddy Sheringham, some player. He was some player.
I don't see it. So as long as they play him at number 9 or false 9, whatever, they won't catch us.
No, they might bring someone in, but even at that, I mean, look, I just think we've got to concentrate on ourselves, Pete. Concentrate it, take it game by game, just keep going. We might lose an odd game or two. We're here, we can probably afford to lose a game, but Bournemouth the weekend is going to be a tough game.
But, I mean, listen, again, I don't really like. I look at the way your man Iraola sets up. Is that his name? I can't remember. It's probably my volume that the problem is. Hang on. Can you hear me? I've got you. All right, then.
I don't know what happened.
Happens.
Glitch.
Don't be worried.
Doesn't matter. Do you know what I'm going to do? I can edit this. It's not live, so it's just recorded. So what we'll do is we'll finish it now in a minute anyway. But just to say, back with Liverpool where we are, we just a little technical issue there, guys. So there'll be a slight glitch for a few seconds, but we're back. Just want Pete's final assessment now of Liverpool going forward. As I said earlier, I just think take every game as its own little universe, its own little bubble, and keep going.
Well, yeah, exactly. One game at a time. And I think, listen, a lot of fans getting a bit nervous watching, for example, Bournemouth hammer Forest or Bournemouth hammer Newcastle. Every team approaches every other team differently. And I noticed that everybody stands off Liverpool. Everybody. Even Man City, in the last game kind of stood off us. And that plays into our hands, to be honest, because we're more patient now. We don't make silly mistakes, So I just fancy, I can't see anybody bettering our run of results by 1 or 2 results between now and the end of the season. It's just going to be a matter of keeping everybody fit, taking it each game, and don't worry about shiny new things. In order to sign for this football club, you have to be a very special player and a decent personality. So if someone's coming in, it means I like your man Hato from Ajax, but he's 18.
He's 19 next month or March or something. Only a young lad, big fella.
Exactly, that's the profile of young fella that I'd like to see coming through the door. Fellas that won't be banging on the manager's door every week.
That's the type of FSG signing, though, isn't it? That's something you could see happening.
Yeah, it's money ball. It is money ball. People need to, accept that. We do buy to make a profit. It's just a reality.
You buy to sell on eventually. Yeah.
That's the way it is. So we just have to embrace that and hopefully now, we get 2 of the 3 lads across the line. Because Van Dijk's a different type of animal physically. I think he'll play till he's 38, 39 when he wants.
So is Salah. Salah's ripped, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
But as you say, if you don't want to play for the club, you can just go. That's the same. We're not going to start crying about it. Go.
No, that's what I'd say to Trent. Fair play to you. He's done really well. I'm going to go off to Madrid and see if the grass is greener over there. Go ahead. No problem.
Go ahead, baby. Make my day. Look, we leave it there. I want your last word, of course, on Moonlight, the new Phil Lynott story in Vicar Street in April. I don't know if there's still tickets available. And also again in June. Ticketmaster, is it? Ticketmaster?
Ticketmaster.ie. So just Moonlight to Philip Line at Enigma. April 2nd, 3rd, and 9th are sold out. Are we 8th or 9th? No, we're 9th. The 20th, 24th, and 22nd tickets are still available. So come one, come all, and keep your eyes peeled rather for the May. We're going to go around the country, I'd say, in May. So keep your eyes peeled for people in Cork, Killarney, Belfast, and other places. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I'm sure it'll be absolutely brilliant, and I will show me face. Definitely will. I'll show me face. I'll definitely do that, buddy. I definitely will. I'm in trouble now. This is going on YouTube. I have to. I never live it down. Look, absolute legend. Good luck going forward. Yourself and your family, of course. Absolute legend for coming on, Pete. Fair play to you. I'll hopefully talk to you at the end of the season, and hopefully, when I do, we'll have a few trophies. Hopefully, one or two of the big ones in the trophy cabinet. So, Peter M. Smith. The legend continues. Thank you very much for coming on. Stay
Cheers,
safe.
David. Much appreciated.
Cheers, mate.
Take care. Slán, lad.
Legend.